Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I'm very happy to welcome Denise Dilhart here, and she is an international grief and trauma specialist, and we're going to get to know her and have a great conversation. So, Denise, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me here and inviting me onto your show today. As I said earlier, I'm in Australia, so it's early morning for me. But yeah, I am basically how I got started. I lost my husband in 2009, very suddenly. He died of a blood clot. I was only 51 at the time. He was 55. So that started me on my journey. That's how I got into what I'm doing now. No, it was never planned that way. My life was not going to be what it is today. But like anything, we get thrown curveballs and we've just got to grab them wherever they land.
Well, back in 97, I lost my father. He had ended his own life, and all I had was my brother and my mother, and my brother swore he would never do anything like that to me, and 3 years later he hung himself.
Oh,
I ended up losing a good friend of mine who ended his own life, and it just was too much to bear. During that time, I got to drinking real bad. I got into cocaine really bad. I didn't give myself a chance to feel any of the feelings that I should have. Several years later, when I turned 36, I had a breakdown, and I think everything came out at that time. And I read your story. Kind of similar thing happened to me. I ended up in a closet, and I was just curled up in a ball, and I cried like a baby, couldn't stop, and I ended up in the hospital. Um, I know it's difficult, but do you mind telling us about what happened and how you dealt with it?
absolutely. And, it is a gift in all of what happened to both of us. In that we've taken and I've looked at life and I've gone, okay, what is the gift in this? When my husband died, it was so sudden. We were not expecting. I mean, hey, he goes to work, he doesn't come home. We're in the next phase of our life, enjoying life. Yay, life. Kids are out the house. We now can, in the afternoon, sit around the pool, have a glass of wine, chill, talk about. And then suddenly he's gone. And what happens in grief when it's because grief is trauma. You mentioned this. Now, whatever it is one of those deaths that we start blaming ourselves. If only I could have, I should have, maybe. What did I miss? What didn't I see? And it's the same with this, with my husband with a blood clot. He died in hospital 8 hours away from me because we were living in a rural city. And I couldn't be with him. I wasn't there. I got a call from the hospital to say that he had passed away. And you go into la la land where your body just shuts down. That's it. Boom, it shuts down. But what happens in that shutdown is that we can either, like you hit the drugs and the alcohol to cope, because we want to cope. We want to block out what happened. And I started buying shoes. My addiction was shoes. I would buy shoes, and then you can't make rational decisions. So I couldn't decide what color to get. So I'd get the same shoe in all the colors. How irrational is that? I like the white ones, but maybe the red ones. Maybe I'll just get them all. So irrational. I ended up in the cupboard, like you, rocking in a fetal position, just screaming. And that was when I started feeling. We have to feel our emotions. We have to allow ourselves to go down that pit of grief, that pain. And feeling our emotions is not feeling sad. It's not feeling unhappy. It's not feeling guilty. It's the feelings beneath that. That's the stuff that's keeping us stuck. That's what's keeping us from healing. Yeah, I even at one stage found myself next to the toilet between on the floor, between the toilet and the wall, also in a fetal position. Now, who does that? Who does that? But this is what grief does to us. This is what loss does to us. We lose all sense of life.
No, it's something to be expected when it's a parent that one day they're going to be gone. But to have someone like a spouse that's that close to you, I mean, y'all are as one,
Yeah.
and then part of you is gone. I don't know what I would do if it was hard enough losing my brother, but if I was to lose my wife, I don't know how I would manage.
Yeah. And, I'm an only child. I lost my father when I was 18, a week before my 18th birthday. But I had the backup. I had my mother. I had Martin, because Martin and I started dating. I was 16 when we started dating. So at 18, we were engaged, ready to get married, basically. So I had my support around me. Then we emigrated from South Africa to Australia in 1988. And in 1989, my mother passed away really suddenly because she came with us. So I lost my mother. And I still had my support network. I still had my kids, and I had my husband. I had Martin. But then in 2009, when Martin passed away, oh man, I had nobody. My whole thing, yes, I had my kids, but they had just lost their father. So you can't lean on them because they're grieving too. Being the mother, you want to be strong for them. You want to give them your strength. But what we don't have is strength. We just don't have it. So that's where we start living a double life, really, is we put a mask on, and to the outside world and to everybody that we love, we are coping and we're doing well. But the truth is we're not. Behind closed doors, we're in closets, we're in cupboards, we're between toilets, we're drinking alcohol, we're taking the drugs, we're doing it to cope, just so that we can cope.
Have you ever seen that show Hoarders?
Yes.
A lot of people on there are going through that, and that's why they hoard stuff, and their houses are just a dump.
Well, you see, what's inside our head and our mind is in our outside world as well. So if we are chaotic inside, within ourselves, within our heads, our outside world is chaotic as well. The two just mirror each other. We can't be neat and tidy on the inside and the outside and be untidy in one or the other. So it's the mindset. And with hoarders, you find as well, they've had a tragic loss, they've had trauma, because grief is trauma. Unfortunately, nobody recognizes it as trauma.
Oh, it
But it is
definitely
deep.
is.
Yeah, it's deep trauma. And trauma triggers so many emotions within us. It goes right down to the primal level of coping, of survival. So we end up in survival mode. And we whatever that looks like. So in the case of hoarders, that's what it looks like. That's survival mode. I don't want to let go of this. I need to keep this. What if I lose this? Because especially in grief, because they've lost somebody. They might have all the memories of that person that died, like a whole house full that they're holding in their house, because that was my mother, that was my daughter, that was my husband. I can't let go of that.
That's so hard to let go. My brother, even little pieces of paper he had written on that I'd found, I still have them. I can't throw it away. It almost feels like I'm throwing him away.
Yeah.
If I was to get
And
rid of it.
yeah, and that's okay, because I still have it's funny because when I moved houses at some time, Martin always used to, when we bought an appliance like a fridge or a washing machine or anything like that, he used to always write on the back of it the invoice number, where we bought it, and the date. So that if there was any warranties or anything, we knew straight away. We could go back to the store and say, this is what it was. Yeah, I thought that was genius at the time. I thought, wow, who does things like that? He did. But as those appliances break down, I had to replace them. And I got my son to actually cut out those little metal things, the little metal handwritten mementos. And that's what we do. And that's okay. That's not hoarding. That's not unhealthy. That's healthy. Where it becomes unhealthy or unresourceful is when we hang on to everything. Because letting go is not letting go of them. You know, in my flow method, the first step is, it's flow, Flow, but the first step is feel. So that's the really feeling your emotions, not taking alcohol, not shopping, not getting addicted to anything. It's feel, allowing yourself to feel. Once we feel, we can then let go. Now, what are we letting go of? Not the memories. We're letting go of the pain. We're not letting go of the life that we shared with them. We're letting go of the heartache. We're not even letting go of the memory of how they passed away, because that becomes a loving memory. Because then you can, because once you let go, you can now start looking back with love instead of pain. So it's letting go of all those emotions and that pain that's keeping us stuck. Because only then can we start overcoming. And this could, you know, and if we don't do that, there's an urgency for us to do that. You know, they say wait for time, time heals all. It doesn't. All time does is makes it worse. Time doesn't heal anything because it's just time. We're waiting. Okay, all right, okay. And then we start feeling worse and worse and worse and worse. Then somebody says to us, go through the 5 stages of grief. Where are you in the 5 stages of grief? Well, you didn't. How can you? Grief is not linear. As you know yourself, you've lost so many people. What stage are you in? I don't know. I'm just hurting. I don't know where I am. So there's this false belief with when we lose somebody that we have to wait for time and then navigate the 5 stages of grief. And once we've done that, then we're okay. Whereas it's the inner work we do on ourselves. We have to heal ourselves. We heal, not the grief. Because grief is love. How do you heal love? How do you let go love? How do you overcome, move on? There's, you know, all these cliches. You don't. Because that person lives within you forever, till the day you die. You will always have everybody around you that decided to take themselves home, as I call it. They will always be in your heart. So you can't move on from that. You move forward by healing yourself.
I'll say that even today, I mean, it's been getting close to 25 years since this happened, and I will still find myself crying. I'll look at my daughter. You know, my daughter's got 2 boys. Okay, so he missed out on one, my daughter growing up, graduating, getting married, having children. He would have 2 great nephews right now. And you know, I'm retired. I think I was wanting to sit on the front porch and rocking chairs and enjoy retirement with my brother.
Yeah.
And those memories, wanting those memories,
Yeah.
I still grieve.
Yeah. And that's why I say it's an inner journey. We have to heal ourselves, because grief affects every cell in our body, and on a subconscious level, because, you know, our subconscious never forgets. It's always there. You know, you can be, like you said, 20 years later, 15 years later, 5 years later, something triggers something, and it's like it's happened just right now. And that's our subconscious brain or subconscious mind working. That's what it does. It just holds information there until something triggers it. So the key is to heal yourself and to heal ourselves from the inside out so that we can let go of that. So when the memories come up, we're not triggered. Instead of crying, we smile, we laugh, we go, wow, what beautiful life we've shared together. But we can only get to that point when we've done the healing on ourselves. And that's a personal growth and a personal development. It's discovering who we are. Who am I now without that person like you? Who am I now without my brother? You know, in my case, who am I now? I'm not a wife. I'm not a mother really because my kids have moved out. I'm still a mother and a grandmother, but not in that sense of having to nurture them. So it's a rediscovery journey to reimagine our new life without that person. And in the process, you'll be releasing all that, letting go of all that pain, the heartache. And at the end, looking back and saying, wow, we shared an amazing life. And focusing on, you know, for me, and I hear you so clearly, for me, my husband died he was 55, I was 51, as I said. We had 8 grandsons at the time, young little grandsons. We have since had another addition to the grandson line, so we've got 9 grandsons now. The oldest being 24 and the youngest being 4, so there's 20 years difference between the grandsons. And then out of that, 2 grandsons have had children. So I've got 3 great grandchildren, which will never know Granddad. They'll never know Martin. But my focus is on how blessed am I to still be there to see my great-grandchildren.
That is a blessing.
Yeah.
Do you ever have dreams where it seems like they're right there, and then you wake up and realize that they're not?
All the time. All the time. Because they are right there. They are right there. You have feelings. Oh, there's somebody next to me. Oh, okay. And then you're, okay, thanks. If you pick up any pennies, feathers, see a lot of butterflies, dragonflies, it's all communication. Now, I know a lot of people don't know when they're dead, they're dead. No, they're not. Their spirit, the essence, the energy is still around you. I talk to Martin all the time. If I come up, and I know, you know, some people go, oh, Denise, you're crazy. How do you do that? Easy. I talk to him as if he's there. If I've got something that's coming up and I need help with, and it's like, oh, just, I don't know what to do here. What do you think I should do? And then I leave it at that. And somehow a week later, a month later, day later, depending on how urgent it is, the answer will suddenly come to me. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. Where did that come from? Where did that come from?
There was a time where I had lost my job, and I had gotten a check from the retirement from that job. Anyway, I still hadn't found a new one yet, and we had ran out of money. And I was like, what am I going to do? I can't find a job. I'm going to pay the bills. And I just remember I was driving down the road, and I looked up and I was like, you know, James, I could really use some help right now. I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyway, I got home that afternoon, went to the mailbox. I opened up the mailbox, and the retirement company had sent me a second check.
Oh.
I wasn't even expecting it. And they said they only paid partial payment the first time, and they were paying me the rest. And then even now, we'll see a certain red bird that'll show up at the window.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, that's him. just coming by to say hi.
Yeah. Oh, I've gone cold. I've got goosebumps. Because they are with us all the time, and it's just a matter of us recognizing the signs. You know, when we recognize the signs, like I said, they can't obviously sit down in the chair and talk to us because we'd freak out. I remember one night I was sitting here on my own, and I'd had a wine, and I was going, okay, I've got to go to bed now. And I got up to walk to the bedroom. And as I walked into the bedroom, I remembered, oh, my phone, I left it on the chair. So I spun around, and as I spun around, I walked into someone, and I even went, oh, sorry. And then I went, hang on, there's nobody else in the house with me. Who was right there behind me? And instead of freaking out, I went, oh, hello. Okay, you're coming to bed now as well. Yeah, I'm tired. You must be tired too. And I made a joke out of it because I recognized that it was Martin, because he was obviously, okay, we're going to bed now. Let's go to bed. And he was obviously right behind me. And I spun around, and there was like this shadow. It was a shadow there that was like, you're going to walk into somebody. And I had to apologize, and I laughed afterwards. I thought, you apologize to a shadow, but they are there, they are with us, and it's when we acknowledge it, they will come more often, and especially when we need help. Always ask for help. They're there, ready, waiting for to help.
That reminds me, we just moved back to my hometown. We had moved up north to Austin, and my mom and my wife's parents, their health hasn't been the best, and they're up in their 70s. We're worried.
Yeah.
We wanted to come back and take care of them. So we had moved back in with my mom. She's here all by herself. And my brother played guitar. And I had a guitar that I've been tinkering with, just trying to learn a little bit here and there. And it was sitting in the corner. And I don't remember what my wife and I were doing at the time, but we were in the room, and I heard the string pluck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you just hear that? She's like, yeah. And then it happened again. I can't explain that. I was
Yeah.
like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And and this is the property that he was on when he did what he did.
Yeah. Yeah. And the key is to know and to focus on the love that you have for him. That's the key. Not on that one moment in time when he took himself home. Whatever was going on in his life, whatever was happening for him. And we can't change that fact. We just can't change it. What we can change, though, is how we look at their life, how we remember them moving forward, not focusing in on that one moment in time that we lost them. Because that's where we get stuck. That's where the sadness, the pain comes from, because we replay that image over and over and over and over in our head. Whereas when we change that image to the life that we had, growing up as kids, what did you boys get up to? What did you do? Where did you play? What pranks did you get? What trouble did you get in together? And the laughs that you had, and focusing in on that and move forward from there. That's the key. And that's some of the inner work that I do with my clients, is bring up those memories. Let's talk about where, let's let that go. Let go the moment, because, death comes in many, many ways. It can be murder, it can be a car accident, it can be a long-term illness, it can be suicide, it can be anything. But it's not focusing on that moment in time, because we grieve the life we should have had with them as well. So there's two different kinds of grief.
So you work with clients one-on-one on Zoom and that kind of thing?
Yeah, both. So I've got an 8-week program because I work around the world. So I've got an 8-week online program where you're working on yourself. So you're unpacking all your inner stuff, who you are, etc., etc. And at the end of every week or module, we hop on a call together, And that's where the unpacking and the coaching, and I then coach you through first of all, what are we celebrating this week? What has changed, if anything has changed? But also what's coming up for you. Because that's the key. You can't just have an online program and try and do it on your own, because it's emotional, stuff comes up. And if we don't make sense, we're human nature. If we don't make sense of what's coming up for us, we push it down. We have to pull it out. It's like weeds in a garden. You have to pull those weeds out. You have to get out of the weeds. But you also then have to replant it with something. You can't just pull them out, because weeds will grow again. And that's the stuckness of grief, is, I've healed that, I feel better now. But you're not replacing it with anything. If we replace it with alcohol, or we replace it with addiction, like me with shoes, you with alcohol and drugs, guess what? Those are weeds. You're replacing weeds with weeds.
Definitely. What is your website?
It's flowgriefacademy.com. So Flow, and on there's a lot of links, there's videos, there's, you can find out all about me on there. Who I am, what I do.
Do you have like an initial consultation or something to see if your program's a fit?
Absolutely, I do. I have a 45 to an hour free discovery call to see if where you're at in your grief journey, because sometimes people are not ready yet to move forward. They're not at that stage yet. Sometimes they are. So for us to see if we're a match, and whether the program's for you, whether you like me, whether I like you, because that's really important too. I have a breakthrough call. So and the link is on my website. Or if you don't go to the website, it's Flow Grief Academy /talk. That'll take you to my diary, and just book a call with me. Even though I'm in Australia, regardless of where you are in the world, technology has this amazing ability to put it into your time zone and my time zone. So if time slot's available, book a call in your time zone. So yeah.
And what is your social media?
I've got Facebook, and I've got LinkedIn. I've got them all, and all the links are at the bottom of my website as well. So it's I'm everywhere. I'm even on TikTok now. Everybody said, get on TikTok. I'm like, no. Okay, I'm on TikTok now. And I also have a podcast as well. So I have a podcast. It's not where I don't interview people on my podcast. It's just a podcast of advice and healing, and listening to, okay, what's my next step? If I'm stuck in my waiting for time, where's the podcast on waiting for time? So yeah.
Well, I am going to put all those links in the description to make it easy for folks to find you.
Brilliant.
Denise, thank you. I was trying not to tear up here, but I failed.
That's good. That's good. I would congratulate you with that. Don't block it. Feel it. Let it come out.
I hear you. But I really do appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, and giving me the opportunity to share about grief. That grief is not a life sentence. It really isn't a life sentence. And it is life after loss, life after grief. Yeah.
Well, you always have an open invitation here if you ever want to come back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Of course. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button. And for my regulars, you guys are awesome, because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless, and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network,